That's Ralph, who was the in charge of the machine room, and that's Walter Landers, the Mayor of Chelmsford, when he had a visit to the Essex Chronicle.
Who's on the right?
I'm not quite sure who that one is.
Okay.
That one is Pete McGough, and he's operating a machine called the Typositor. This is where they've done the headlines, and you can see where they were produced, and he would pass those on to the various compositors. I know that's Jack Carrington, that's Ted Hermon and his wife Alice, and that's Fred Birchall.
What did Freddie Birchall do?
He was a head reader. There's Ted Hermon, there's Charlie Townsend, Joe the Cleaner, Basil Thompson, Ernie Bradley, Jerry Aylett and Cyril Tyler.
Who's sitting down?
And there's Jeff Baker in the dark room with Tony Tween assisting. Sometimes Tony used to dash out of the building with his camera. And I used to say, Tony, have you got a film in it? Yes, that's Ray Handley and Walter Landers. And you can see the press behind in the machine room. Ray Handley, his initials were RAF. Nothing to do with the Royal Air Force because he was in the Gurkhas. That is Ray Handley talking at the dinner. I think that's the occasion when the Essex Chronicle had its 200th anniversary at the Lion and Lamb banqueting hall. I think that was the 200th anniversary. And there's Mr. Frank Ellis, who was the chairman of the Essex Chronicle. He come down from London. That's me. And that's Sir John Ruggles Prize.
He's speaking at this 200th.
Yeah.
200th do at the Lion and Lamb.
Right. Again, that's Ruggles Prize with Ray Handley.
Yes, they almost look hand in hand.
Yeah. That's Ruggles Prize, via Harmsworth and Ellis.
Does it look like it was yesterday?
In a way.
And you were in charge of bringing it up to scratch, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Who actually pressed the first press?
Let me think. I think it was an Lord Lieutenant.
Oh, Sir John, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's him going to press the button, because you had to have permission to press that button.
Oh, yes, you did.
You couldn't just anybody press it.
No. It was a
The union would strike.
Trade union position it was.
Not even you could you?
No. Here we go. You'll see the press being installed. That's a unit being installed. This is a Gott Urbanite.
Oh, that famous Goss.
Gott Urbanite.
Yeah. Where did we buy it?
From Goss.
So it was brand new.
Oh, absolutely. It was Goss Urbanite units and a Strawn and Henshaw twin folders. Turn out 20,000 an hour. That was a speed limit.
Chronicle size.
Yeah. 20,000 tabloids. Rules at one end and complete newspaper the other. That's Hodgkinson.
Who's Hodgkinson?
Who
is he?
He was one of the old partners. Mickey Thompson and Creasy, and Hodgkinson was one of the members.
Before it was sold to the Mail?
That's right, yeah, and he used to write a weekly column.
How many photographers did they have then?
Well, quite a few.
It would have been Jeff Baker, Tony Tween.
Yeah. Who was the chap who used to Mosaic Submarine? Chappie.
Ray Horsnell.
Ray Horsnell,
yeah.
Yeah. That's the folder, the big Strawn and Henshaw folder.
Strawn and Henshaw. Yeah. And that looks like Ronnie Rolfe standing there. Yeah.
And that's Ronnie Rolfe again talking to Ray Handley.
Yes. With Sir John in the middle. Did you have to take on more staff after leaving?
More staff, yes. Because we operated day and night shift. So the place never stopped. They're the photo settings where they produced punch tape.
Oh, right. Oh, the early days of sort of computerisation.
I think they were dyeing keyboards that produced paper tape.
Which did what?
And the paper tape was fed into a line of film quick, and that produced sort of film material, which the compositors cut up and pasted up on their makeup board. That's Frank Hodgkinson.
Yeah.
I don't know who that one is.
And that's Ray Handley.
That's Ray Handley.
Yeah. And was this one at the Lion and Lamb, this
Yes,
presentation?
yes, yeah. That's Stanley Bragg, the architect. He designed the factory, and I liaised with him.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, methods of production, where A had to be, where B had to be.
Yes.
And all the rest of it. The layout of the composing room was done by suggestions from the staff. They were taken into consideration all the whole time. Veer Hubs were talking to Ted Hermon.
I'll have to show this to Ted, he'd be proud of it.
Well, Ted Shed there, and Ray Handley.
Yes, I'm starting to get to know them.
So, the old Lion type machines, but I don't know who that is.
This is the old offices in
High Street.
In the High Street, looking there.
It looks like the old editorial, because we used to...
Is that the first floor?
First floor. First floor of the Essex Chronicle, High Street. 98 High Street.
And they used to have the name of it in the window?
That is the basement, because you will see that it was shored up during the wartime years, because if when I was on the roof and I saw the German bombers coming, I used to blow my whistle down the lift shaft, and they would all go down to the cellar, and Hall and Wells had reinforced the cellar.
Oh, right. With
steel girders.
Steel girders support if you had a direct hit.
That's right. Down in the basement, there was a gas engine which, with a big belt on it, drove the shafting to run the press. The old posters we used to print at the Chronicle.
That looks like the front door.
Yeah.
I don't know what's opposite, but is that an alleyway or is it? It doesn't look opposite. It looks too close to be opposite.
That is the stairs going up to the works. The ground floor,
From the
up
ground
to
floor.
the third floor, there were 73 steps. I know that because I used to count them.
So there was a side entrance in those days in that little alleyway.
In the alleyway, yes.
And the photographers had a dark room that they could exit, couldn't they?
Yeah.
What do you think that is? It looks a right mess.
Well, I think that's half we left, I reckon.
They were very old, those premises. How long had we been in there for, do you think? Not 1764.
No, because the Essex Chronicle was printed further down where Marks and Spencer's is today. I think it was in the 1800s.
Who used to sit in this chair then? Can you see that chair and that window? That is the Saracen's Head, isn't it? That looks like the opposite. Who used to sit in that chair? The editor?
I'm not quite sure that one.
Quite a significant chair.
Oh, it is.
So you weren't too upset at leaving then?
Oh, no. It was quite an adventure. I think that's the old newsroom. The old newsroom where because those windows there face the passageway. You know.
I wonder if they're still there.
If you go down the passageway now, you can still see those windows. Well, they've probably been replaced. The windows are still there where they were. Fascinating.
And he just happened to have some... Jeff, when he was taking it, happened to see an old boy, got him standing there to look at the...
Probably clearing up.
Yes. Now that's the most interesting photograph. The remains of the newsroom. There's a telephone.
Yeah.
A bottle of... bottle of beer and...
a brush.
and a brush. Let's have a look at that. That's quite hilarious.
Yeah.
That's quite hilarious. A telephone off, a broom, And some sort of bottle. I don't know whether it's beer, but let's put
Could
that
be,
down.
because the market house was right next door. You went from the centre passage into another passage, and you were in the market house.
Well, these are the ones you can flick through. That's all. That's you'd be of interest to that.
Oh, that's
if there's anything there.
That is the building of Westway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, this is building going on at Westway. That's just the installation of the press going on.
Is that the folder?
That's the folder there, yeah.
Yes.
Because that's a picture of the site before we had it developed.
So how many people were employed in the high street? Say 60, and then you doubled to 100?
Oh, in a high street...
Couldn't have been many.
I wouldn't think there'd be no more than about 40.
So you then tripled it up to 100?
Yeah, over a period of time.
Was it built on time?
Yes, as far as I know.
What happened to the Ockleford Thompson
Because,
money? They just couldn't afford to run it anymore.
Well, the partners run out of money.
Really?
Yeah, well, they hadn't got enough money to develop the company, and so they needed a helping hand. And
So they sold out completely.
So they sold the Essex Chronicle, yeah.
And I think about that time, everyone was doing it, weren't they? I think
yeah.
local papers, that's how they built their empire.
And as soon as we were taken over by Associated Newspapers, we had acquired the Brentwood Gazette. We bought the Brentwood Gazette to become part of our series.
Oh, right, so that wasn't part of the Thompsons?
No.
They were also local?
That was owned by a private company in Brentwood, because they had what you call an old cotter, which used to print the Brentwood Gazette, but eventually we got it into our system, and there's a unit there going in. Yes, that's an old printing press, high street premises, called a Wharfdale.
Really?
Yeah, it's called a Wharfdale.
Is it a flatbed? What you'd
It's
call
a flatbed, yeah.
And that would have been the earliest one there, I
Used
would
to print
imagine.
posters on that.
Oh, that slipped through then. That's from the new premises. That slipped through. Where was that? Where was that? Was that
That was
on?
High Street.
Was that the first floor or ground floor?
That was the first floor.
Tell me the layout of it. You had the basement, which had the
Gas engine in.
the gas engine, which
Yeah.
had pulleys that went
Yeah.
to the ground floor or to the first floor.
No. The ground floor to run the printing press.
Which was on what floor?
First floor, ground floor.
On the ground floor.
'cause-
So that went to the ground floor.
Yeah. The
Where
next-
did you have the reception offices? Wasn't it
In the
round
front.
the back?
In the front.
In the front?
In the front.
Facing the Saracens.
Face of the Saracens.
So you'd have a little reception.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And then you had the print behind you.
Who worked in the reception was Miss Elsie Mundy and Fred Spurgeon, no, old hands. And Miss Mundy was a Girl Guide lady, and she used to wear a Girl Guide uniform on a Friday.
Just for fun.
No, I think she had duties with the Girl Guides, because I have to go with her to escort her to go and get the wages across Barclays Bank every Friday.
Right, she had a RAF escort.
Yeah, she did.
So this Wharfdale Press, that was on the ground floor?
No, first floor.
First floor?
First floor.
And the first floor also housed the reporters?
First floor, no. And the first floor, yes, it would have the reporters up facing the Saracens.
Yes.
That was the editorial, where you had a chap called Tapp and Yerbury.
Freddie Tapp.
Of Yerbury and Gilbert Saunders.
Yeah, the reporter.
Yeah.
Gil Saunders.
Yeah. And Chaplin.
J.C. Chaplin.
J.G. Chaplin, because his son ultimately worked at the Chronicle in a camera room.
Right.
And also on the first floor was the stereo equipment, where we used to make plates.
Right. And was there a second floor?
Yes, second floor was the newsroom.
Oh, was it?
Newsroom and where all the linotype machines were.
Oh, right.
And then the third floor was where the general printing department was. And up on the very top of the third floor was a Stanhope press, which printed the Battle of Waterloo on that press.
I wonder what happened to that.
That went to some museum.
Did it?
Yeah.
Stanhope Press.
Stanhope Press, yeah.
I wonder which museum it's at.
I don't know.
Did you ever know about that flatbed press that we had at Westway? We had a flatbed press with the eagle on it.
Yeah, that was Eagle Press. That was in when we come to move from High Street to Westway. We had the reception room at Westway, and I said it'd be a good idea to have a link with the past by putting the Eagle Press in there. And when we used to have visitors come along on a Thursday night to look at the premises and see the press run, they always used to look at the press, the old printing press there, because that was a hand-operated one.
But was that in actual operation ever? Did it have a history with the Chronicle?
Oh yeah, well it's been there for years and years and years. I mean, when we set up stuff by hand, you tidied it up and you used to ink it over and put a piece of paper on the top and put it under the printed little Eagle Press, and you get a print which would then be sent to the reader.
Right. Was that used earlier on then for producing chronicles?
No, I think the Stanhope Press was a bit bigger.
But earlier on, was it one of the first original
Well,
presses
there
that the
was
Chronicle had?
Yeah, there was. As far as I
I
know,
mean, we're going back to 1764,
yeah,
aren't we?
Yeah.
So it could date from 1764.
Easy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's dear old Westway. Yeah, we used to park all the cars along there.
Oh, there's memories there, isn't there?
Gosh.
Workers there.
That's just workers.
Yes.
Yeah, they're working for French the builders.
So you're saying it just took a week to move in there? Really? You didn't lose any production of the Chronicle?
We moved on a Thursday night. As the Chronicle that day was gradually going to press, I moved the linotype machines out until there's just one left for doing corrections. And they're all going up to Westway. In fact, the night shift was told to go to Westway on Thursday night. Instead of coming to the High Street premises, they went up to Westway. And all the copy was there for them to start setting for next week's Chronicle. No, we never lost a day's production. In fact, on that Friday, we're complete. It was done in a day because a lot of the equipment was new, and that was already in pre-arranged spots in the new factory.
So Northcliffe Associated had invested in new equipment.
Oh yeah.
So there wasn't a printing press. The GOS was already installed.
Yeah.
That was new.
Yeah.
The folder was new. It was really the linotypes that were moved.
They were there for the time being. That's the only thing that was moved was the linotypes and the stereo equipment.
I mean, the Wharfdale was left behind.
Oh yes, yeah.
And so it was really the only press that moved was the Eagle Press.
Yeah. Well, that came up as a memento of years past.
Yes. How about the darkroom? Was that left to somebody else to arrange the darkroom and the reporters' room?
I had not much dealings with that. Jeff Baker and Ronnie Crow looked after that.
And RAF Handley, he would have been in charge of all the other departments.
He was in charge. He was in charge of
editorial. So he'd do the editorial. And roughly when I joined the Chronicle, the departments had stayed fairly as they were at first. You had the back offices on the right-hand side with Ted, didn't you?
Yeah.
Your office and Ted's
That's
office.
That's right, because we also had some garages.
Yes.
And also we had our own petrol supply. We had a big tank put in the ground, and we had 2 mechanics to service all the company
There was
cars
Ray.
and vans.
Yes.
Yes, all that.
And it was all self-contained. You also had a generator in case the electricity
Yes,
went.
we had a generator in case electricity failure. We could carry on production.
What was the biggest weekly sale that you can remember of the Chronicle? Did it reach 50,000?
All I can remember is that the circulation was about 46,000. I don't think that we got much beyond that. A majority of those papers used to go down to Rippons, the wholesaler, because Tony Gaylor, who was the manager at Rippons, used to ring up and say, "Ralph, what time can I get the Chronicles?" I said, "Well, there's 20,000 on the way now." So I said, "And there'll be another 20,000 in an hour's time." And we had all the packing department, because they were at the other end of the press room, really, separated, and we had a conveyor belt which took the papers along from the machine room into the packing department, and there was 2 conveyor belts there, and we also had a special piece of equipment which tied up bundles. You whatever you wanted tied up, they automatically tied up the bundles.
I can remember that. What was it called? The bundler? It had a name, didn't it?
Yeah.
But there's so many people and so many. Did you ever keep in touch with? I suppose you kept in touch with Ted and.
Yeah. I still speak to Ted Hermon now.
Yes.
And Jack Carrington.
Yes.
And but there's only 2.
So how many are left from the good old days? Yourself?
And myself, Ted Hermon, Basil Thompson, Jack Carrington, and Colin Moth.
How's Colin? He's keeping well, is he, Colin?
As far as I know.
He did a lot of globe trotting
because
when he left.
Colin married Mary Moth, and she used to be a receptionist in the High Street premises. And then remember we had a little a shop in Duke Street.
Yes, very well.
And
yes.
Mary used to work there.
Yes, I used to work there myself when I was covering court.
Yeah.
That's right, that's right. But they never utilised it, and of course now it's a kebab shop.
Yes.
Oh, we never thought of how the empire ruled. So you were printing, let's say, 46,000 Chronicles. What about other papers? How big was the Brentwood Gazette?
I reckon the Brentwood Gazette was round about the 15,000 mark. There's a free paper called the Romford Recorder.
Right.
There's the
Romford Observer.
Romford Observer, yeah.
And then you took a
the
lot
chap
of...
who took that over, the editor was a chap called Hills.
John Hill.
John Hills, yeah.
Yes. But at the height, you were producing... I mean, they were working round the clock on that goss, weren't they?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
It was almost as if it was the beginning of the end, wasn't it? Because
I had in
they
my
were
office,
round the clock on that
I had in
goss.
my office a year planner.
Yes.
For each day of the year, and across each weekday was the paper name which could be printed, because there was a very tight schedule regarding monthlies, fortnightlies, weeklies, and they all had to be organised to dovetail into each other, so there's never a gap.
Did your military training help?
Oh, very much so.
How?
Well, I suppose I was well organised in the Royal Air Force, because each bombing raid was carefully planned, and I took that on board when I happened to plan the removal from High Street to Westway, and also when planned to take on new work. They all had to be fitted in another schedule, so the schedule was very, very tight, and we had specific times for going to press, and sometimes the editor would say, "Well, I've got a late story," and we would say, "Well, we'll change on the run." That was their favourite expression, change on the run. So somebody in the comp room would stay behind, and Peter Smith or whoever was the editor would put the revised one in. That would be photographed in the dark room, a negative made, a new plate made in the plate room, and then the press would stop and the old plate taken off, the new plate put on. and that way we could more or less do away with stop press because we could replate.
Seamless. But while editorial, we enjoyed a rise and fall of the paper. You'd go in on Monday,
Yeah.
and you'd work like mad,
Yeah.
and then the paper would go to press Thursday, wasn't it?
That's right.
Thursday, and then print Friday, was it? Or
No.
distribution?
We start printing about 6 o'clock
And then it would come out through your letterbox
next day.
the next day, and that was good. And then we, as journalists, would relax on the Friday.
In a way.
Relax, but yourselves, you were round the clock, weren't you?
Yes, but
there was no rise and fall and relaxation.
But
was
a lot
there?
of your features were set a week in advance, fortnight in advance.
That's true. We had.
And don't forget,
we wrote in advance.
Yes, you did indeed. And don't forget, we used to get in those days. You used to get funeral reports from people like Andrews. They used to send their funeral reports in. And we you had correspondence in most towns and villages, and used to pay them lineage. And of course, the editorial would try to reduce the number of lines, so they cut their reports down by half. I'm not supposed to say that, am I?
Well, I think you can now.
Yes, it was all a game, but I love print. I took to it like a duck takes to water, and to see a press in full flow was a magnificent sight. The noise was a bit noisy, as you had to. Most of the members of the crew used to wear e-defenders under health and safety, but I never worried about it because I was in and out.
Well, you were used to the 4 Lancaster engines going away.
Yeah, well,
which wasn't.
Those 4-engine Lancasters give me tinnitus.
Oh, bless them, bless them. So many happy memories.
Yeah, indeed.
And did you leave at 65, or did you go early or late? How did it work out?
Well, it's 93, and I was born in 23.
So what's that?
70.
70. So what was that gap you had in the middle? How long was that? A couple of years when you left and came?
About 3 years, yeah. I worked for Motor News, who come to us to be printed. And that's how I got involved with the Motor News, because one night Ray Hanley rang me down to the office and said, "Can you come up to my office, Ralph?" And there was Mr. T, who owned the Motor News. The North Press at Southend had gone bankrupt, and he said, "We've got to get a newspaper out next Tuesday. Can you do it?" So I said, "Well, this is what I want you to do, for me to do what you want." And so I got all the staff, I soon rattled the staff in working over the weekend on double time, and come Tuesday we produced a Motor News of about 12, 16 pages, and then he followed us through, and we eventually managed to give him spot colour, because he had a special red, Motor News Red we called it. And then when we went on to colour, full colour, he joined us in, and he was very happy with us. And of course, when he knew I wasn't very happy at the Chronicle at a certain stage, he should come and work for me. And so I worked for him for a few years. He gave me a company car, a Triumph Stag, which wasn't bad. And that was the pride of my joy. The Triumph Stag on the driveway, and Derek Bruce took my place, but I don't think he fitted in very well. And in the end, sad to say, the paper production went down, and there were redundancies. Nothing to do with me, but eventually they advertised the position of works manager, and I reapplied, and we went back to normal again.
Normal production was resumed. And so would you have been there for 53 years had you kept continuous? Because You were employed at the Chronicle before you went to war, weren't
Oh
you?
yeah.
What was your job then?
1938.
What was your job back then?
Apprentice. 7-year apprentice.
As what?
A compositor. And working with my grandfather, well, when he was an apprentice, his mother had to pay the Essex Chronicle so much a week to train him.
As what?
A compositor.
Had to pay the Chronicle?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Yeah, there was a fee for being an apprentice in the printing trade, because it was a highly sought after thing. In fact, to be in the printing trade, you perhaps one of the elite.
You were very well paid.
Yeah.
So
Well, the printers were always very well paid. There was a profession where the craft came into it, but unfortunately all the new equipment, gradually the craft went out and computers took over. So my grandfather saw 50 odd years,
what's his name?
Frederick Suckling, and he was presented with a chair by W.H. Creasy, who was one of the partners, W.H. Creasy.
And did you work there while he was still employed there?
Yeah, because he showed me how to set up posters. You know, big auction posters for estate agents. Used to set all those up.
But by that time, you didn't have to pay to become an apprentice.
No. I was indentured. No.
3 years?
5 years. 5 years indentures. And as I say, the war came along and interrupted my apprenticeship.
And when did your grandfather pass away?
1938. On November the 5th, 1938.
Firework night?
Firework night, because I happened to be in his house when he died. My mother was upstairs saying goodbye to him, but he died of pernicious anemia. And I think that was all through the lead. We used to have the old factory at Bradford Street, because the press was stopped at High Street, and when Ted Shed was in charge, we had called a 1050 Harold Crabtree press built at Bradford Street. It just had the printing press, the packing department and a paper store and stereo equipment. And we used to send down throngs, which we used to put into the casting plate and make semicircle plates and fit onto the press. That was in the days of letterpress still. But then, that could only print 48 pages. We wanted a newspaper that could print beyond 48 pages, because when we come to do the 200th anniversary issue, we had to do one lot of 48 pages, print them in advance, and then print the other 48 page as normal, and we had a special 4-page wraparound, and we had tons of people come in and tuck them all one into the other.
Inserters? Or
Yeah.
stuffers?
Or stuffers, whatever you like to call them. That included my dad. I'd give him a job.
What's his name?
His name was Tyrrell.
What's his first name?
Leonard.
Had he retired by then?
Oh yes. I said, come on, I said, you can work for me.
Free?
No. He said, give him some money. And, oh yes.
So it was a family affair?
And then we had a social club there.
There was a strong social club?
Yeah, we used to have dinners and dances.
Parties for the children?
Oh, parties for the children, yes. Yeah, don't forget we had a canteen at Westway.
Upstairs on the first floor?
Yeah, Mrs. Wade used to do you a poached egg.